This year. Big Monday presented by Bud Light continues. UNLV at TCU. Couple of clubs playing pretty well right now. The running Rebels have won 5 in a row. Billy Tubbs Frogs are 8-0 at home, and they've got it going up and down the floor here at Daniel Meyer. I'm Bob Carpenter. Is Fort Worth the next great basketball town in America? They're averaging 89 points a game. UNLV has to play some good D tonight, and they'll have to do it without their best defensive player. Thursday at San Jose State, Jermaine Smith got in a scrap with Rich Taylor. After this basket was scored, the officials ruled that Jermaine took 3 swings at Taylor. We saw one of them that may have connected. He was kicked out of the game. He is serving a 1-game suspension here tonight. So, Larry Farmer, they're without a guy who can really get it done at both ends of the floor.
Well, Jermaine Smith, the best perimeter defender, very good at defending against a 3-point shot, so it hurts him offensively, defensively. Offensively, he's the second leading scorer. He's their best productive 3-point shooter. And it's not like Billy Bano doesn't have any weapons left. Tyrone Nesby is really red hot, and right now he's considered the key to this basketball team. Well, Nesby's really improved on his shot selection. He's not relying totally on the outside shot, but he's driving more. He's getting closer to the basket, so consequently he's getting fouled.
Well, earlier tonight you saw Texas squeezing that clock at Kansas. Billy Tubbs doesn't want to see more than 2 or 3 passes on any possession, and his man Malcolm Johnson is red hot right now on that perimeter.
Well, Malcolm Johnson, an excellent 3-point shooter. He can get hot and really put up big numbers. He's very clever off the dribble and can also get the ball in that painted area. He's averaging 2 steals a game. You've got to watch out for Malcolm when you have the ball.
And we've got a couple intimidators on the floor tonight. James Benny of TCU, 97 career blocks. And watch out for Keon Clark. That running Rebel can really sky, and he can be downright scary at the offensive end. How about that jam? Damian Smith steps in tonight with Jermaine Sunshine Smith unavailable, and Damian is shooting 17% this year. He has to come up big for Billy, the former UMass assistant, who's also worked for Larry Brown at Kansas and PJ at Seton Hall. Damian Walker, freshman All-American last year for Billy Tubbs. He's averaging 7 boards and 13 points a game. Outstanding free throw shooter. And this is a TCU team that is outstanding from the free throw line. Yeah, it's already Billy's 3rd year down here. This may be his most interesting cast so far, Larry. He's really got him playing up and down some great ball.
And he likes that. And in talking to Coach Tubbs before the ball game, you know, he was laughing and joking, but he said, you know, it's odd to play against teams that actually come down and set up in their half court and run plays. He said, we like to get out and press, and we want to get up and down the floor and get this thing up in the 90s.
At the age of 34, Billy Bano in his 2nd year at UNLV, really settling into the job now. A new 4-year contract, the 10th UNLV head coach in their 39 years. After the days of Jerry Tarkanian and Rolly Massimino, Bano with a 19-18 record, 5 in a row. This winning streak they're on is his longest. They won their WAC opener, that game at San Jose State, when they were 8-point winners there. UNLV was called Nevada Southern the only time these guys met, way back in '68. And in Vegas, they won it by 2 over the Frogs. UNLV in their road red, and up all alone for the tip was Warren Rosegreen. And here come the Rebels, who like a quick transition game. When they get in their half court, they'll play some motion. And all Billy Tubbs teams are multiple defensive teams.
Well, TCU starting out in a man-to-man, and the strategy, at least early on from UNLV, is to pound that ball inside.
Tony Lane misfiring, and then the TCU rebound for Damian Walker. That's the guard Jacobs down to Johnson. Oh, on the right baseline. What a move by Malcolm.
And immediately, the press by TCU, they're in a man-to-man. They have a 1-2, 1-1 press where they'll get quick double teams.
They get the steal. Mike Jones after the double team. Then he has to hustle to keep it. He takes a hit by Mark Dickel. So after the made basket, TCU turns up the defensive pressure early.
And that's one of the other side effects of not having Jermaine Smith, a senior who's obviously been battle-tested. He's your point guard. You've seen what he can do on the road in pressure situations. He's unavailable now, and now you have to rely on Mark Dickel, who's a very good ball handler, but he's also a freshman.
That was Malcolm Johnson with a misfire there. Dickel, member of the New Zealand national team. He's from Dunedin, New Zealand. He's the man who gets it on the right wing for Damian Smith. It'll be interesting to see if Damian's shy about shooting early. On the year, he's hit 8 out of 46. Dickel short, and a rebound, number 2 for Damian Walker. The guard Jacobs in transition. Down low, a foul. It will not fall for Mike Jones.
You watch Mike Jones, and he's a guard, point guard, slasher type player. But he played center in high school, so when you watch him near the basket, a lot of his moves are very reminiscent of a player that's very familiar with how to play down low. And he's also a terrific offensive rebounder.
I say this tongue-in-cheek. He's one of their worst free throw shooters at 70%. This club is shooting 76% for the line. In the last 2 years of the Southwest Conference, TCU led that league from the stripe. They shot 70 as a team last year. There's another steal. Jones over Tony Lane, gets about 3 chances and finally knocks it down. So the Frogs lead 5-0. And then a blocking foul at midcourt on Jeff Jacobs. He's the only 4-year senior on this team. The Frogs have a lot of JUCOs who've come in here as Billy Tubbs rejuvenates this program.
Now that press is going to keep coming. And until UNLV is able to settle down and really attack this press, where they have some scoring opportunities at the other end, I would expect TCU to just stay in it and see if they can force quick shots or turnovers.
This is Dickel against Jacobs. A high pick by Rosegreen. Right side, Tyrone Nesby. He has been red hot, can't knock it down, but he gets the foul on Malcolm Johnson. Nesby, over his last 5 games, 19 points every time out, and shooting 54% from the field.
Well, Nesby at 6'6" has got Johnson at 6'4". Now watch him. He's taking his time. He just bumps him and backs him in, and he gets himself into that in-between area. And that's what the coaching staff and Coach Bill Bano have been very pleased with Nesby. He's not just relying on the quick outside shot, but he's utilizing his quickness and his jumping ability to get closer. When he's missing those shots, he's getting to the free throw line.
Considered a world-class athlete he is. And Billy Bano, a little casual for this 11 p.m. local time tip. Pretty good crowd here in Fort Worth. They've had some snow and icing conditions in the Metroplex today. This is Johnson on the drive. And then baseline left penny, way short with it. Jones picks it up underneath. Mike Jones with 5 points early. Quick transition. And that's a big shot for Damian Smith. Only his 9th field goal of the year in 47 attempts.
And that's key for Damian, to get a shot in close early before you start to stretch it out and look to shoot that 3-point shot.
And there's Jeff Jacobs, who in the last TCU game against Liberty went over the 1,000-point mark, the 16th player in TCU history to do that. Stepping on the out-of-bounds line, Damian Smith, Jones and Jacobs, great trapping in the backcourt.
You know, oftentimes, Bob, when you're a shooter and you want to have an opportunity to really get in a flow, coaches will run plays or tell you to get in transition. You see right here, Smith squaring to the basket. There's nobody in front of him. He's a good rhythm-up shooter.
Jacobs on top, thought about the 3. Penetration, missing badly off the glass. And Warren Rosegreen, 8 boards a game, super strong in the upper body, ripping it down.
Good pressure out front by Jones. When you can apply that kind of pressure to the basketball, it makes it awfully difficult for the offense to get started smoothly. And the later in the possession that you actually get up and you start to run your offense or initiate your offense, the more likely you are not to get the kind of shot at the end of it that you'd like to.
Shot clock at 7 for Dickel. Flashing on top, Damian Smith. Couldn't get the roll for the 3. That ball saved by Rosegreen, and back on top for the Rebels, Nesby.
Rosegreen strong enough to throw the ball near half court, but he was saving it beneath his basket.
Strong drive and then a beautiful little touch. His first field goal. He leads the Rebels at 16 a game, and now it's 9-5 for the home team. Ball batted away. Getting a piece of it there was Rosegreen, and now back on top. 20 on the shot clock for the Horned Frogs. Penny on the drive. James Penny, the junior out of Grapevine, Texas, here locally. Pretty good offensive player as well. We talked about his blocks. He's also averaging 14 a game. And the Rebels throw it away. An official's timeout. 4:21 in. The Frogs off to a good start at home.
ESPN's presentation of NCAA basketball is brought to you by Brewery Fresh Bud Light, who reminds you that fresh beer tastes better, and in part by BMW and the new BMW 5 Series. Now, more than ever, the ultimate driving machine.
That was James Penny's first field goal, and things not taking very long to happen for these Frogs. Glenn Cyprian, Dave Rice, Greg Petrone, the Billy Bano staff over on the other side. They've got their hands full in this one tonight with Sunshine Smith unavailable. If it just joined us, suspended for this game after that fight, or so-called fight, at San Jose State on Thursday. This is Kevin. Three-pointer of the year. He's shooting about 40% out there.
It's a makeable shot for Penny, but certainly Penny better off to dribble and slashing and getting into that painted area because he's such a terrific athlete and finisher.
You know who we really haven't mentioned yet? Keon Clark. There's a look down the lane, and Walker was on his back. Good quick transition by the running Rebels, but so far TCU keeping the ball away from number 15, the man on the other side of the paint there. Keon averaging 9 rebounds per game. Lots of blocks. So far, the Frogs staying away from him.
Well, he's a long-arm lefty who makes spectacular plays at both ends. And when he comes in the ball game, he'll immediately establish himself at the defensive end. And it's curious to see if TCU will continue to pound the ball inside and really attack him as opposed to shooting from the outside.
This is Tony Lane. He got 1 out of 2, senior forward out of Simon Gratz High School originally in Philadelphia. And a 14-8 TCU lead, 5.5 minutes in. Mike Jones and Malcolm Johnson. Billy Tubbs calls them the MJ boys. They've had a huge impact coming out of the junior college ranks on this team. Jones gives it up on a good steal by Damian Smith.
Jones takes exceptionally good care of the basketball. He's only averaging 2 turnovers per game coming in here, but just lost his concentration.
Lane strong to get the shot. Too strong on his first one. On the second one, Damian Walker gets his second foul. And some scores coming in from out west now as Nevada wins tonight. TCU's rival across town, SMU, winning a non-conference game this evening. One of the 4 teams in this area added to the WAC, TCU, SMU, Rice out of Houston, and, of course, Tulsa University. We'll see them next Monday night when Rice makes a visit up to Oklahoma. At the line, Tony Lane. He's had 31 points now his last 2+ ball games. 32 now with his deuce here tonight.
UNLV returning the favor and extending their defense. It's token pressure, but just giving TCU some of their own medicine.
Straight man-to-man now. Little switch there by Lane. Here's Jacobs finding an opening on the left side, but Damian Smith stopped him. Shot clock at 10. The quickness of Johnson, and it goes down for Malcolm, his second field goal.
Well, you've got to respect Malcolm Johnson's ability to shoot the three-point shot. So that forces you to play up on him. But he's an athlete.
He's a gunner. He's got the 3. 7 for him, and TCU goes up by 10.
And he's showing you the repertoire right there. He's athletic enough where he can put it on the floor if you try and take that jump shot away from him.
Ooh, a 2-on-1 alley-oop, and Tony Lane finishes on a good feed by Kevin James. So a good answer by the Rebels.
And this tempo really favors TCU because this is what they want.
Jones on the back door. He has 7. So the MJ boys have combined for 14 so far. James to Lane again. Tony says, keep bringing it down here, Kevin.
Well, TCU wants enough tempo, but they want jump shots at the end of that press offense and not dunk.
That's a 3 by Mike Jones. He's into double figures. I feel like I'm watching a tennis match. My head's going back and forth here, Larry. Here comes Keon Clark, and Lane's going to slam another one, and Tony has 8.
Tony Lane coming into this ball game is shooting 61% from the floor, and that percentage, as long as he is given those kind of shot opportunities, is going to skyrocket.
Jones, little long with it, and you saw how Keon Clark can get up there. Here comes Kevin James again. That's Osborne from the right side. Corky doesn't play a whole lot, but they're a little short at guard tonight with Jermaine Smith suspended. Jacobs gunning it up. Jones the offensive rebound. Yes! And he's got a dozen. What a pace.
We talked to the coaching staff at TCU. They said Mike Jones had been struggling a little bit.
Keon Clark with an intentional foul.
And there's the push. There might have been a flop at the end of that, but certainly anytime you put 2 hands on a man and then shove him, you fall down. That's certainly going to get the referee's attention.
Mike Jones gets the second one. Possession for TCU when we come back. The intentional on Keon Clark, and the Frogs up by a dozen.
Gary Miller with other college hoop action from Monday night. Fresno State and Rice in the WAC Open. The first time these two schools have ever met. The Owls come into the WAC and get indoctrinated by Damon Fournier and Fresno State. 79-76 Bulldogs.
Lately, Gary Miller will talk about some of that at halftime tonight. Bob Carpenter and Larry Farmer at Daniel Meyer Coliseum in Fort Worth, where the Frogs have been tough to beat over the years. By the way, they're in the Mountain Division, Billy Bano's team in the Pacific, where Fresno, Wyoming, and UNLV are expected to be the top 3. Over the mountain, Utah, New Mexico, Tulsa. Pretty good clubs there. Utah, New Mexico, both rated again this week. The Utes at number 9, New Mexico at 16 after Utah lost that game to Wake on New Year's Eve. And forgetting to find the ball on his hands was Corky Osborne. And back the other way goes TCU.
And I expect TCU to come out that timeout and really extend the press. But anytime you extend the defense, you've also got to make sure you retreat and get back and protect your basket. You want the outside shot versus the press, not the dunk.
Damian Walker charging in there, getting the foul call on Keon Clark. When Clark put his hands up, you saw what an amazing wingspan he has. Assistant coach Greg Patrone calls him a one-man zone. He thinks he can guard 2 or 3 guys at the same time. That's Damian's first point. Walker, an outstanding free throw shooter. He had hit 11 of 11 in a ball game against Centenary earlier this year.
And he's capable of getting to the line. Walker's problem, he's been posting up, but not on the true low post or at the mid post, but off the line.
Drilling it off to steal was Malcolm Johnson. And Keon Clark with the outlet now for Tyrone Nesby, who's been a little quiet so far. Considered overall UNLV's best player. 42 is Warren Rosegreen, who has not scored yet. Then the loose ball picked up. TCU comes up with another UNLV turnover. 8 of them already. Walker. Yeah. That's a deuce, and he has 4 all of a sudden.
Walker very comfortable at stepping away from the basket. Such a huge responsibility on his shoulders to rebound the basketball that you rarely see him play comfortably that far away from the basket.
Rosegreen lost the touch on it. Rebound, Malcolm Johnson. Hard to key on any one of these frogs. They have 4 guys averaging 13 points a game or better. Johnson, what a great pass by Damian Walker. And Malcolm has 9. They are really spreading it around right now, leading by 18.
And there was an example of why you have so many players sharing in the wealth as far as point production. TCU averaging 18 assists per game as a team. So you're going to get the ball moving around and shared when you play up-tempo, but also in the half court, they do a very nice job of looking for one another.
James on top, looking for Nesby. He'll go baseline. He may have walked before he put it on the floor. And if you subscribe today to ESPN's Full Court College Basketball Package, you'll see over 500 men's games. Only $79 for the season. Don't miss your favorite teams. Call your local cable operator or DirecTV. You might get to see TCU more than you normally would. I'm telling you, folks, this team is no fluke. They have beaten a very good Texas Tech club on this floor, 93-89. Tech was rated 18th at the time. Billy Tubbs' team blew out Purdue here on the 30th of December, 97-69. They haven't strayed too far away from home since playing in the Big Island Invitational. Their 2 losses to Illinois out there and VCU here. But they have really opened some eyes. And another turnover. Earlier tonight on Kansas in big fashion over Texas. And how about Providence? Took care of number 8 Villanova in our first game tonight.
10 turnovers already forced by the press.
Well, our ESPN colleague Larry Conley told me last night, 10 turnovers, you should have at least 8 points those 10 turnovers. It's better now with 12.
And against the press, if you turn the ball over in the backcourt, the defense now becoming the offense has a much better chance of converting or getting fouled. UNLV's just got to take their time against the press and let the double team come and then reverse the ball and try and get it in the middle of the floor.
Look at Mike Jones. He's squared up in a hurry, and he is on fire with 15 first-half points. He's had 22 3 times this year, and he may go way beyond that. Smith on the baseline. Rosegreen, big-time football player coming out of high school. This guy has some unbelievable upper body strength. It won't. Malcolm Johnson. Keon Clark will clear it. 5-17 TCU. 8:45 to go first half.
You get the feeling that both teams have sort of settled in now and they're playing better defense, and I'm sitting on the edge of my seat expecting another run.
Keon Clark going right down the paint. And Saipeli Tului, he got nothing but ball. He just checked in a moment ago, but he'll get the foul.
Now watch Keon. He just explodes up, and he's in an area where he knows exactly where the defense is, and he knows the only chance he's got to score that is to attempt it, but he draws the traffic and he draws the foul.
Keon, a 63% free throw shooter. The JUCOs he played at, Irvine Valley in 95, and then Dixie College in Utah last year, 94 blocks in 17 games. 35-18 for the Frogs. Well off to the right with it. And the rebound by UNLV's Tyrone Nesby. This is Dickel for Rosegreen. Nice touch on the turnaround. Warren's second consecutive field goal. He's been playing with a sprained middle finger on his right hand all season long, and he started every game.
And he's a lefty that took that with the right hand. So the finger is not bothering him that much on the inside when he has an opportunity to score.
Dickel with a quick feed down. Clark for Smith. Damian with the 3. He's long with it. And Keon Clark does it again. Now Smith drives. Lost the handle. Rosegreen picks it up. And he's fouled on the way up. And this could be important. That's number 3 on Damian.
Walker being plagued by fouls the last 4 ball games. Coming in here, he's had 17. He's fouled out of 1 game, but you see the action here, and that's the inside-outside action with Keon Clark. Now, Damian drives in. Push on the other side, but Damian Walker, pivotal part of the TCU offense and defense, and has struggled with fouls.
Warren Rosgreen missing the first attempt. I want to see Larry arm wrestle this.
You know.
Wow. What do you think?
Oh, I give myself absolutely no chance.
Well, Warren warms it up. He's got 5 in a row, 35-21, but Billy has a big man, Damian Walker, in foul trouble. A game of runs, 11-0 TCU. Now UNLV answers with a 6-0 run of its own, 35-21. The best college football players from around the country come together. It's the 72nd annual East-West Shrine All-Star Game from Stanford at 4 o'clock Eastern Saturday. Barry Alvarez coaches the East. Quarterback Marcus Crandall, he's exciting out of East Carolina. And Cedric Shaw, that 2,000-yard Iowa running back. And the West Coast, Ted Tolner of San Diego State, quarterback Steve Sarkisian of BYU, and Arizona State's Jake Plummer. It's all presented by Buick coming up on Saturday. 7:42 remaining first half. 13 more attempts by TCU.
And that happens when you get empty possessions because you don't get a chance to shoot, but you turn the ball over.
That's Jones with a look down. And a good-looking basket by Saipele Tuoli, senior. On the right side to it, Damian Smith drains it. That's got to be good news for the Rebels because he's hit a couple of field goals here in the first half.
Damian's the kind of player that feeds, again, off his confidence. And if he can rhythm up and get that kind of a look, Mike Jones wanting the foul in addition to that basket.
Mike Jones has 17 points. He is 7 of 11 from the field already. Came in shooting 48%. Johnson, yes, and a foul.
Malcolm Johnson out of Seminole, Oklahoma, junior college. He averaged 24 points a game, had 59 in one junior college game, but you watch his athletic ability right there. He draws the foul. He's wiry, strong, and he's got great elevation. And when you can elevate that way and absorb the contact on the way down, you still have an opportunity to score.
Can't get the three-point play. I know you've heard of Sam Jones. He went to Seminole many years ago, and Malcolm broke his JUCO scoring record there. He was an All-American a year ago.
Sam, who played with KC in that famous backcourt for the Boston Celtics.
Yeah, those two weren't bad, were they? Damian Smith with the dish. Giving it a chase was Anthony Burks on the far side, who just checked in. 6-foot senior. Local kid out of Dunbar High School. And there's Prince Fowler, who Billy Tubbs recruited at Oklahoma. Played his freshman year there 2 years ago. And then set out last year after transferring from the Sooners to TCU.
And Fowler, an interesting story. His hometown is in Las Vegas. As a high school legendary, averaged 40 points a game as a senior in high school.
Mark Dickel with his first basket. Yeah, he was pretty good out of Western High School there. Had a high game of 60.
The average 40, you're going to, I guess, eventually not score.
Yeah, Burks before the shot. Foul on Mark Dickel. That'll be his second. It's worth another look, huh?
Burks great off the dribble. You see him with the quickness there. Now, there was contact prior to the release of the ball, so he's not going to shoot, but Burks very lucky when he flailed that arm after the contact that he wasn't whistled for a push-off. The referees are really watching that this year.
Dickel checking out after his second foul. Jones to Burks in the corner. Almost got the roll on the three. And the rebound by UNLV's Tyrone Nesby. 41-25 for the Frogs. And on the baseline, really flashing down quickly was Tony Lane. He went right by Tuoli, who got his second foul.
And Lane has made a home down there on that baseline in transition. And he's a 6'7" center who really plays well around the basket. He never gets outside of his comfort zone or his comfort area.
Tony Lane with a big first half. That's 9 for him. He averages 10. Coming off a 19-point game in that contest at San Jose State when he was 7 of 11. So the Rebels, the last couple of minutes, playing better, unable to chip away much at that TCU lead now at 14.
UNLV in a zone defense.
Burks, a little bit out of control, was high off the glass with it. It'll go back the other way. Rebels thought they might throw a little 2-3 zone at this TCU attack.
And this is a good time to throw it at him. Malcolm Johnson, arguably the best three-point shooter for TCU, is now on the bench and resting.
And, of course, Billy Bano a little shorthanded tonight with Jermaine Smith suspended. They'll be back for their next game Thursday at home against San Diego State. Then they entertain a very good Hawaii team on Saturday featuring that point guard Anthony Carter, who's making some news in the WAC right now.
Yeah, Hawaii surprising with their win over New Mexico. Big win.
Burks checking out. Jeff Jacobs back in. And the key to this club has been a little quiet so far. Looking for his 5th point here. He'll get his before this night is over.
Bob, I think that's a part of the maturation process that Nesby's gone through. If he doesn't get the shots up in a hurry, they don't come to him early in the ball game. He's played more patient.
Devin James with the steal. Leaves it for Clark. And before Fowler took the charge, there was a foul on Mike Jones. Prince was setting up to take the charge, but they got Jones for the reach-in just a second or so before that happened.
Well, Jones reached in. It's a good look off by Kevin James, and you see the reaching with the right hand by Jones.
Billy Tubbs completely befuddled on the far side.
You're Prince Fowler. You're standing back there braced and grimaced. You've got a train coming at you, and you take the punishment, and you don't get any credit for the offensive foul.
And Keon gets them both. 3 for him, all on free throws tonight. Malcolm Johnson back in for TCU. He has 11 already. And Mike Jones, who's been red hot with 17, will get a breather. Billy does not need him to get a 3rd foul before halftime.
No, and we'll watch and see. UNLV, they do stay in the zone defense. See if Malcolm Johnson can spot up and get an open shot and force UNLV back into a man-to-man.
They'll refire the offense here with 16 on the shot clock. That may be the first shot clock mention we've given TCU tonight. And he got the timeout. Malcolm Johnson knew he was going to have a backcourt violation, and he got the 20 while he was in midair.
Well, there's an errant pass. The pass is passed to the backcourt. There's not a lot of pressure because UNLV is playing a zone. It's passed away from the defense, and Malcolm sort of alligator arms it, but he's able to jump in the air, and he's so athletic he stays in the air long enough to spot the official and give him the timeout signal.
Hey, we've got a pretty good Tuesday coming your way on the Deuce tomorrow. Number 23 BC at Syracuse, and the Orange really struggling so far in the Big East. Then it's number 12 Xavier tipping off against Dayton. Xavier 10-1 on the year. Darnell Williams had 25 in a Saturday win over Virginia Tech. Pretty good double dip on the Deuce tomorrow. With 3 on the shot clock, Jeff Jacobs drains a long tray. 5 for him.
Coach Tubbs was telling us today that Jacobs is a very smart player, really gets TCU in their offense, but they want him to score more.
How about Tyrone Nesby? We mentioned a few moments ago he's been a little quiet. Now he has 7 here in the first half. 4-10 and counting. Penny with his 3rd field goal, and that's 7 for him.
And after that basket, some confusion on the TCU side. It appeared that half of the team wanted to get in the 1-2-1-1 press, and the other half was sprinting down the floor.
You better know what you're doing against this transition. tip away by James Penny. Ahead to Malcolm Johnson. And a foul. Kevin James probably should have let him go.
You can see defensively that Kevin James really, he makes the pass that actually gets tipped, and he hesitates. And right here, if you're going to foul, you've got to foul the offensive player before he's allowed to get that ball above his shoulders. You let him get it up there, Malcolm Johnson is certainly going to make something happen.
He has 14. Mike Jones has 17. And Billy's MJ boys are getting it done. They've scored 49 already. When Billy Tubbs was at Oklahoma, his teams put a lot of points on the board. Did not always get the credit for defense that they deserved. And this club's starting to look a lot like that one.
And yeah, one of Billy Tubbs' concerns was defense on the inside. You see James Penny knocking the ball away. The pitch ahead in the finish. TCU forcing 11 turnovers by UNLV and scoring 14 points off those turnovers.
And a lot of the same can be said for those great UNLV teams of the late 80s, the championship team of 1990, the Final Four team of 91. Defense leading to the transition offense and easy baskets. And lots of them. Damian Smith picks it up.
And the defense is so active in the full court, and it seems to just ignite TCU's half-court defense. Active hands.
Look at Keon Clark. Can't get the ball over the iron after a strong offensive rebound. Tyrone Nesby hangs and scores. And suddenly, Tyrone has 9. 49-35 TCU. We're not even close to halftime yet. They might be in the 60s. There's Penny with another 3. He's 2 for 2 out there tonight. And James into double figures.
And Penny just at the top of the circle against that zone. At 6'6", you can see over the defense.
There's Clark trying to take the charge with Penny. That's Keon's first field goal.
And if you're going to flop that distance from the basket, you better be awfully sure that there's a lot of contact.
Oh, look at the big guy. Penny with 13 now. They got 3 players with 13 or more points already.
Well, against the 2-3 zone, that shot is going to be available, and at 6'6", you've got a pretty decent shooter right there who can also see over the defense. Pretty good passer.
That was Penny on the block of Tony Lane. Get out there, Keon. He might shoot again. Jacobs the 3. Finally, they miss one, but Tuali picks it up. Johnson well off to the left. Penny crashing on the back of Keon Clark, and they'll get him this time. That will be number 1 on James. Busy Monday night as conference play now is in its first full week all around the nation. This is the conference opener for TCU.
You see Penny with that long-distance 3. Keon Clark really not honoring that open look. I know Coach Wooden used to tell us the first 2 shots, if we think a player can't hit from that distance, the first 2 of those are on me, and the third one is on you. So you got to make that subtle adjustment during the game. If the man you're going to hit that, you got to go out on it.
Kind of a rare combination by Penny. You don't see too many guys who are great shot blockers who can drill the 3. They're 2 things that just don't work together for one guy that much. Look at the quickness of Prince Fowler. He was short with it. And then Tuali evidently gets another foul on the offensive glass. And that would be his 3rd. Gary Miller's doing some late duty for us tonight with the Delta Faucet halftime report. We'll tell you about the Longhorns and the Jayhawks earlier tonight on ESPN. And we understand that Special K is putting in a little overtime tonight. Nova and Providence earlier. And some of the recent struggles by Jerry Tarkanian at Fresno State, although they did come up with a whack win tonight. That's all coming up on our Delta Faucet halftime report. Mike Jones back in. Prince Fowler out for TCU. And for the first time, redshirt freshman Scott Barrett from A&M territory down at Bryan, Texas. A&M, of course, has gone to the Big 12 with Texas and Tech
UNLV now in a man-to-man. And Keon really honoring Penny now. Is coming up on him.
Johnson on the drive, down the paint. And finally, the ball grabbed in there by Tyrone Nesby. And they give it up again.
Kevin James had the right idea that time to penetrate to the basket. He had Damian Smith spotted up in the corner, but threw a no-look pass. You don't want to stare at the man you're passing to and tip the defense off to where the pass is going, but you don't want to look away either in case the offensive player that you're attempting to make the pass to moves.
Benny at the high post, putting it on the floor. On the back door, it's another Nesby rebound. That's his 7th of the night. Final minute now, the first half, in a very high-scoring game, at least for the home team. TCU, as we mentioned earlier, averaging 89 a game. Well beyond that so far. Damian Smith with the 3. He was shooting 19% out there, a little better than his overall field goal percentage coming into this game.
And that was a play that Kevin James was attempting to make the possession before when he threw the ball out of bounds.
4-second differential now between the clocks.
Soft man-to-man out front.
10 on the shot clock now. Jeff Jacobs handling it. Johnson with the fall away. Strong rebound. Warren Rosegreen. Final 5 seconds. They had time to hold it for a few more before they let it go. And it'll be 55-42 at the half. James Penny, perfect from three-point range, blocking some shots, and a very exciting first half here in Fort Worth. Well, Gary Miller kind of looks like the old Boomer Sooner days for Billy Tubbs' team. 55 in the first half.
ESPN's presentation of NCAA basketball is brought to you by Ford and your Ford dealer. Have you driven a Ford lately?
Inside and outside, James Penny had quite a first half, and so did a couple of his teammates. TCU putting 55 on the board at a 13-point lead halfway through here in Fort Worth. Bob Carpenter, Larry Farmer, and that TCU pressure defense gets the pace that Billy Tubbs really wants in this game.
It really did, and it forced 12 turnovers, and TCU able to capitalize and convert those turnovers into easy baskets.
And they have got the transition game going. They're shooting well. They're spreading things around. Look at those attempts. 20 more attempts by TCU than by the visiting Rebels. Turnovers, as you mentioned, Larry, a big story, and TCU certainly does take advantage.
Well, I'm sure the UNLV coaching staff spent a lot of time talking about how to attack that press, reversal of the ball, get it in the middle, and then push. When they were able to settle down, they got high percentage shots, and Tony Lane, with 10 points in the first half, had 3 dunks.
Right down to Lane they go, and they get the first foul. Bill Bano's team with a 5-game winning streak, but playing without Jermaine Smith, averaging 15 points, 4 rebounds a game. An outstanding free throw shooter. Great guy to have on the floor at crunch time. And Damian Walker, because of the 3 fouls, we haven't seen him in a while. He comes in quickly and gets the 2 free throws.
Well, Walker's going to have to play with a lot of poise. With 3 fouls, he can expect the UNLV players to go at him, especially if UNLV starts off as they did the first half.
There's Damian Smith. He was 3 for 6 in the first half. Can't knock that one down. Out of bounds off his teammate Tony Lane. And the Horned Frogs come back the other way. TCU is going to cause some problems for a lot of teams in this league, especially when they have to play on this floor. They're 8-0 at home this year. There's Penny. And right there to pick it up is Malcolm Johnson. That is 16 for him.
Well, the press in combination with the fact that the guards from TCU are very good athletes and will rebound.
Good crash of the boards by Rosegreen, and Warren now with 8. He is such a strong rebounder. That was his 5th board, points number 7 and 8.
He's a paint player. He's a traffic player. Rose Green reminds me, and did last year, of a Sean Kemp, about a 6'5" Sean Kemp.
Rose Green with his 2nd foul, getting tangled up with Malcolm Johnson. Well, Mike Jones is going to go way over his average. So will Penny. It'll be a matter of time before Malcolm gets there. And a baseline violation. They'll set up some full court defense here on the inbounds by Mark Dickel.
They leave Nesby open because that's where they want the ball to go. They figure if the ball can go into Nesby, they're not going to get beat off the dribble or in transition.
2nd foul on James Penny. Tyrone Nesby, one of those Rebels who's going to have a huge second half, and I mean huge, for them to get back into this game.
As will Damian Smith. Relaxing and taking those shot opportunities, and when he gets his confidence, knock down some threes.
There he is. After a feed from Dickel. Back on top to Mark out of New Zealand. Watching him is Mike Jones. Good penetration. The dish for Nesby. The little fall-away rims out. Rose Green. Another offensive rebound, but Penny pulls down the miss. In transition, this is Jeff Jacobs. Quickly for Damian Walker. And the rebound, Nesby. That's his 8th rebound. Damian short with it as Smith misses again.
Both teams getting high percentage shots or getting open shots, and right now just nobody's knocking him down.
Malcolm takes care of that.
I would say it's much like the first half where both teams started getting the rhythm, getting open shots, but they were falling. And right now, both teams, the defenses haven't come out of the locker room yet. Teams getting open shots and nobody taking advantage.
TCU by 18 in the first 3 minutes of the second half. They're 11-2 on the year. Strong to the iron, Tony Lane.
They're going to get James Penny for that foul.
That'll be his 3rd, and he's got 2 very quickly here in the second half.
You know, Lane does a nice job of working without the basketball. He will create a scoring opportunity for himself before he catches it. You allow him to get the ball about 3 feet from the basket. He knows exactly what to do with it. He's going to turn. He's not going to waste a lot of time. And he's either going to get fouled or he's going to score the basket.
3 on Penny. Damian Walker has 3. Tony Lane is 62% free throw shooter. What a game he had against San Jose State last year. 14 out of 15 from the floor. That tied a UNLV record. You miss 1 for 15, you don't even get the record all by yourself.
And all of those shots came right in that high percentage 3-second area.
Yep. Jacobs with the switch for Jones. How quick is he? But he's a little short with a shot. And a good hustle play by Mark Dickel to pick it up. All the way with the left-hander. And Nesby is there to finish it after the block by James Penny. Tyrone Nesby with 11.
Just a smart play by Nesby to not assume that Dickel was going to score the basket. Just trailed the play, waited to see what was going to happen, and as a result was rewarded with 2 points.
Unable to hit, there's Jacobs. Underneath, Damian Walker. If he stays with 3 fouls for a while, he could be the major force of the second half for the home team. They now lead by 17.
Well, quite a battle going on the inside between Clark and Walker.
Keon receives it. No call. He banks it in. And 8 for the junior out of Danville, Illinois.
Again, if you're going to flock, you've got to make sure that there's enough contact to initiate falling. Otherwise, if you fall down, you leave a player like Keon a wide open opportunity to score an easy basket.
You've got to grab away from the ball. It looks like the official, Vern Harris, was looking at Tony Lane. That'll be his second. Here comes Dickel. Penny's going to block his 3rd shot of the game. But right behind him is Mr. Nesby. Well, we got some basketball heads here. They are building a lot of interest in the Metroplex here. And a Wednesday doubleheader is coming your way on ESPN. Terrapins a great early season run, and Carolina really handled by Wake the other night. It's Keith Booth and Antoine Jamison head-to-head. At 9 o'clock, speaking of Duncan and company, they take on Georgia Tech. It's an ACC feast for you Wednesday night on ESPN. Here in Fort Worth, it's TCU 64-49. And a good deflection by Warren Rosegreen. Oh, they leave it for Keon Clark. I bet you another guy named Clark, Kellogg, with a little body English in the studio watching that one. Wow, he is really something.
Nice move.
At the other end, Damian Walker, and suddenly, Larry, he's into double figures.
And that's why his foul situation at this end is so critical. Damian Walker very good at closing the distance and attacking the basket.
Nice left-hander by Rosegreen. He gets into double figures. And some of the big, strong guys are making an impact here early in the second half. We've got some athletes on this floor tonight. Walker, the turnaround. He's on fire. And that's a dozen for him. 8 of them in the first 5 minutes of the second half. Nesby blocked by Penny. That's James' 4th block of the night. Jacobs with the no-looker for Johnson. Out to Penny for 3. He's doing it all. 4 out of 4 out there tonight.
And that's going to put an awful lot of pressure on the defense of UNLV, because as long as James Penny can make that shot, Keon Clark has got to go away from the basket and guard it.
Another turnover. And taken right back by Damian Smith. The little pull-up too low off the glass. 71-53. Alley-oop, but it hit the iron. Even James couldn't pull it off of there.
With 7 assists, that's probably the worst pass that Jacobs has thrown all night.
Here's Clark backing in, switching to the left hand, and the iron got him.
The TCU doing a nice job of finishing off their defense and getting on the defensive board, but the last 2 outlet passes have really left a lot to be desired. Once you get that basketball, if you don't have the break, settle down with the passing.
There's a block by Clark. Came into the game with 29 on the year. That was his first of the night. He's posting up Damian Walker down there. Nesby on the perimeter.
They're sagging in that zone defense to help Walker out. Walker playing behind him. You play behind Clark, you expect him not to try and drop step and attack the defense, but to turn and shoot a follow-away.
Nesby goes one-on-one, line drive. Keon Clark had it. Damian Walker ripped it away from him. And Mike Jones has it. What a play by Walker. Jacobs saves. Picked up by Dickel. Now they take off 3-on-1. Left for the trailer, Nesby, and he's fouled. And that'll be number 4 on Damian Walker. That's the one thing that could slow down TCU here.
If Damian Walker's going to get caught as a safety, the offense has already gone to one end, and he's back at half court. But right here, he would have been far better served to just allow the basket to be scored. But I tell you what, watching that replay, Tyrone Nesby was very fortunate not to get whistled for an offensive foul, because he really fended off Damian Walker with the left hand.
He had to leave at the 7:47 mark of the first half with 3. And now almost 7 minutes out of halftime with his 4th. And Nesby with the dozen now. Tyrone Nesby, junior college All-American last year at Vincennes, when he won a game in Indiana. Had some big ball games this year, coming off a 14-point game at San Jose State. (71-55).
You're going to be man-to-man.
Penny finally missed one from beyond the arc.
And you see how soft that miss was? It just sort of died on the rim. The UNLV players were remarking yesterday when we were at practice about how soft these rims were.
Nesby rattles one in off those soft irons. 15 for Tyrone. Quick transition. Nesby, who scored, gets back to make the steal.
That's getting it done at both ends. Once you go from offense to defense, sprint down the court if you're not in the zone.
Rosegreen with a strong left-hander, and a dozen for Warren. And UNLV with Damian Walker on the bench starting to make some noise. They were down by 17. Now it's a dozen.
When TCU has struggled like this offensively, or they've gotten cold, they've always gotten themselves back on track by getting the ball inside and going back outside with it.
Jones couldn't hit, and that looks like Sapele Tuli on the back. Or is it Penny? Oh, my. That's 4 on James Penny. 3 of them since halftime. Folks, we may be in store for a major momentum change here in Fort Worth. TCU could really use Dennis Davis right now. Sprained his ankle against Liberty. May be out a week or two, Larry, and that hurts their depth.
You see his numbers on the season, but even more importantly, he's their biggest, strongest, most physical inside player, and certainly with the foul difficulty that TCU has found themselves in, he would be a player that would really step up and be an important factor for them now.
You know, size inside will not be a concern of Billy Tubbs next year. He's got the #1 power forward in the JUCO ranks coming in from Butler County in Kansas, Lee Nalen at 6'9", and then John Day at 6'10", already signed, a Houston kid out of Lon Morris Junior College out in the Texas Panhandle. So he will not be concerned about this that much next year, but that's a ways off. He's got some real things to be concerned about now, leading by 12. The one thing he feared against UNLV was the Rebels' inside strength against his interior defense. And right at him goes Rosegreen, and he really slams to the floor.
Rosegreen with just a quick first step, and he's going to get Cooley on the baseline. Against the 2-3 zone, Warren Rosegreen just rolls the baseline. He finds a gap in the zone and just beats the defender to a spot and draws the foul.
And that is 4 on Saipele Tuali. 3 big fellas for TCU now with 4 fouls, and it's all happened in the last minute 17.
It appears that the trainer's checking the wrist now. He is left-handed, and when the contact is absorbed, you see him get both his hands down to stop himself from actually banging his head, and he reels back. It appears that it's the left wrist that he put down before. Rosegreen with a 38-inch vertical, and when you explode like that and you get knocked off balance, instinctively you want to put your hands down so you don't land on your head.
Jerry Koloski, the UNLV trainer, helping him out. He may get a double-double if he can get back in there tonight. You know, this game has really changed. 6 minutes ago, TCU led by 18, 62-44. A 15-9 run by UNLV since makes this one a whole lot closer. To the line goes Damian Smith, 5th-year senior, Vegas kid out of Chaparral High School. Had a medical redshirt last year after 4 games when they had to perform some surgery on his right knee. Never did come back shooting well this year. But all things considered, a pretty good game tonight. We'll see Keon Clark return shortly. Damian Smith with 9. Clark returns. Smith takes a seat. And now it's down to 10. Something about the substitution has Billy Tubbs riled up.
Yeah, they're going to get...
Walker's going to, excuse me, Smith's going to come back in.
And Keon's going to go back out. There's confusion as to who he was coming in for.
Corky Osborne now, the man who leaves. It was a little unusual to see Keon Clark come in for Damian Smith. Well, two of the three officials, Bill Gracie and Vern Harris, huddle. David Hall working with them tonight. A whack crew. This is a pretty important possession for TCU right here.
It really is, and you've got to assume that Jones and Johnson need to start touching the basketball.
Sully unable to hit. Scott Barrett, a redshirt freshman who doesn't play a whole lot. 5 minutes a game in there. He's playing in the middle against Tony Lane. UNLV on the verge of being right back in this game.
With TCU struggling right now, you really got to go back to your bread and butter, and that's to get Malcolm Johnson or Mike Jones a look.
Well, they're getting killed inside. That was Lane on the offensive rebound.
You know, we talked about how difficult it is for TCU and their limited size, especially with the foul trouble they're in, to defend on the inside. They've gotten away with a lot of their shortcomings because of their size, because their guards are such good rebounders.
Tony Lane with his 12th of the night. The foul, by the way, was number 1 on Scott Barrett. Pretty soon the Frogs are going to have to get some of those big guys back in there. 13 for Lane. It's an 8-point game with what must seem like an eternal 11 minutes left for TCU.
They've been in a 2-3 zone, and that certainly will help protect the shooters.
Nice give and go. Tuali back to Johnson. And then when Malcolm fumbled it, he got fouled. Tyrone Nesby with his second.
And the 4 fouls on Walker and Tuali are the fouls that really hurt, because that's the bulk of your inside presence. The two players that can really get in and bang and box out and rebound and initiate your fast break.
Billy Tubbs with a 20-second timeout, leading by 8, 10:47 to go. Sunday on the Deuce, some women's hoops heading your way. At 5 o'clock Eastern, new WAC rivals will be first-time conference foes. New Mexico visiting SMU right across town in Dallas. Tim Brandy, SMU's top scorer last year, and New Mexico returns 4 starters, including Abby Garchek, who averaged 18 a game last year. Nothing but net. Women's NCAA coming up. Last 4 minutes have been good to the running Rebels, running their way and rebounding their way right back into this game when they were once down by 18. Jeff Jacobs becomes very important running this half-court offense now. Got it back from Tuali. Mike Jones all the way. It won't fall. They got to make their shots with Keon Clark in there.
And about as patient as we've seen TCU in their half-court offense.
And a gamble by Barrett. And then it was put away by Tony Lane, 15 for him. Now it's a 6-point game, 71-65, and Billy Tubbs has to get Damian Walker back in.
You see the pass to the inside, and Lane just drop steps. You can't gamble in a low post and try and knock that ball away. You get caught behind defensively. You got to jump to position and make Lane shoot the ball as a jump shooter, not as a drop step power player. Certainly Walker's going to have to play smart. He's got to be aggressive, but he's got to play smart and not pick up a cheap foul.
And he was out of the game for less than 3 minutes. Jones misfires. What a big rebound. Tuali, and Keon Clark rejects him big time. That was in your face.
Don't bring it in here, but you got to be aware of where Keon is, and he's such a great shot blocker. If you don't attack him and dribble and close the gap and power it at him, you try and shoot it over, and he's going to change his shot of blocking.
Smith, a huge 3 for UNLV. Damian with a dozen. Maybe his slump is over. There might be a little blessing in disguise with Jermaine Smith not playing tonight. They found out Damian can score.
Well, he was certainly scoring a lot 2 years ago, but it's just been his confidence.
It's off by Malcolm Johnson. Rebels could tie it or get to it in 1, but Keon Clark cannot catch the pass from Kevin James. They went for the end zone and came up empty.
It was almost a touchdown.
Wow, 15 unanswered points, and it's happened in a hurry. Well, the Frogs need a basket here in the worst way. Jacobs for Damian Walker. Ball hit his foot. Right to Malcolm Johnson. Plenty of time on the shot clock here. Walker put it on the floor, and a reach-in foul by Kevin James with some help defense.
Kevin James collapsing that time, and when the ball went to Walker, both times he caught it, he turned right shoulder. Now, if you watch him here, he's going to turn and go right shoulder. Pretty good defense. Lane closes off, and you see the entire defense of UNLV really cutting off that driving lane.
Tyrone Nesby back in. TCU without a field goal for the last 5.5 minutes. And this second half has been a totally different story. They've only scored 16 points after 55 in the first 20 minutes. Switching to the left hand, Damian Walker couldn't knock it down. Here comes Kevin James, and now the Frogs are 6 out of 18 from the floor in this half. It looks like number 3 on Jones. Mike Jones with his third. Kevin James to the line for UNLV. Billy Tubbs huddling with Richard Bacon, Steve McLean, Brian Fish, his staff, trying to figure out a way to put a stop to this thing. Two-point game on the make by James.
Now, this is a good shot. Normally, Damian Walker frees himself up, but you see Keon coming over, and he forces Walker to take the shot with the left hand, which results in a miss.
Damian the rebound. TCU by a couple. 8:25 to go. Jacobs and Keon Clark blocked that one. 3-on-2. Rose Green on the left. On the right is Damian Smith. His feet inside, and Clark ties the game.
And Walker almost picking up his 5th foul.
It is falling apart for the Frogs here. An unbelievable 18 unanswered points. That was TCU's biggest lead. Keon Clark the fall away, and UNLV takes the lead. Unstoppable, and number 15 is controlling this game inside right now.
Well, Walker's hands are tied. He's got to try and play defense before the ball gets inside, and then there's not a whole lot he can do once it's passed on the inside.
Clark blocks another one. Tooley tried to shoot it, and Keon rejected, and incredibly, UNLV has taken control of the game. Yes, the momentum has shifted. 7:40 remaining. Keep your eyes on number 15. He's getting it done all over the place. For the first time tonight, UNLV leads by 2, 7:40 to go. Keon Clark in control of the proceedings.
Well, at 6'11", he's the biggest player on the court, catching the ball inside. And right there, I thought Damian Walker very fortunate not to get called for a foul on the ump fake. And that's at the offensive end. Now watch him here at the defensive end. Keeps his foot in, gets his hands up, and he's so quick, Keon Clark, anticipates where the shot's going to come from. If you don't close the gap between him and the ball, that's what he's going to do, is blocker changes.
And Larry, we didn't have room for the stat shots adjusted. Probably at least a half dozen. Transition. James all the way. Penny can't. Keon Clark again.
My goodness gracious.
If that was a chandelier, it would be on the floor. Oh, my. That doesn't intimidate you, does it, if you're the other team?
You think about that, about 4 or 5 trips up the court. You got to put a body on him.
Johnson. Finally, that's a 3, and the Frogs aren't dead yet. 1-point game with 7 long minutes to go.
And those are the kind of plays that Malcolm Johnson can make. He's a great open shooter, but he can also create off the dribble.
Wow. What speed by Nesby. 17 for Tyrone. Remember, we said a long time ago, he'll get his tonight, and he has. Slow start. He's been outstanding since. Damian Walker drew the foul. Shot just wouldn't drop for him. We've got to see that again, Larry.
You know, he just anticipates so well, and he's quick, and he's got those long arms. You see the miss, and the miss was so perfectly placed right in front of the rim, it's almost like a pass.
Oh, man. He handles that thing like a softball. Damian Walker, foul trouble all night. He still has managed 13 points. He's got to find a way to stay in this game. Now the Sun Devils coming up big over Chaminade tonight.
Nevada rebounding from the loss of Utah State. Malcolm Johnson guarding Nesby. TCU in a man-to-man defense, and they're in a man-to-man so they can apply more pressure to the ball like they did in the first half and finish off that defense. Each man now is assigned to a player. They've got to finish off this defense and box out if they're going to get back in this game.
Penny boxed out Clark, and then Keon Clark will get the foul. It's his third. You know, maybe the only way TCU wins this game is to somehow get him fouled out. But how do you do that when your guys all have 4?
Yeah, well, you do it at the offensive end. You try and attack him and up-fake him and see if you can get a cheap foul on him. But right there in the midst of both players hustling for the ball, Keon Clark using the offhand and really pushing Mike Jones away. It was a good call.
Clark gets a breather. What a second half. Mike Jones at the line. He has not scored in the second half. He had that huge first half with 17 points and 5 boards. Now, that doesn't happen too often when you're on the road. You shoot 17 more than the home team.
But that was a part of the pregame strategy of UNLV, to pound it inside and get it into that high percentage area. And then when you play a team that basically plays up tempo so they get a lot in transition, or they rely a lot on the perimeter game, they don't get to the line as much either.
Hey, guess what? The Horned Frogs are on top again. James very quick, and he rolls it home, and the seesaw goes back to the running Rebels. What an interesting final 6 minutes this figures to be. Jones baseline, trapped, off the hands of Walker, who managed to hold on. Tough shot. Lane was out there defending on Mike Jones. Up with it, Tyrone Nesby. 5.5 to go. UNLV by 1, trying to win 6 in a row.
And Walker's matched up on the inside with Lane, and UNLV go right to him.
Got to let him go. Missed the first one, and then he missed the second one over Penny, who also has 4 fouls. Here's Burks. Yo, it almost went. Thought he was going to drop it, and Devin James got him on the reach-in. What quick transition by Anthony Burks stepping in off the bench.
Well, Burks is an excellent penetrator. You see the open court move right there. Really doesn't break stride. I don't know what kind of a shot he might have been able to take to try and convert that move, but he's bailed out by the foul in the open court.
Anthony Burks started his career at A&M. In his freshman year, he had 1 field goal. Guess who it was against? TCU. He's a local kid out of Dunbar High School here in Fort Worth. Short on both. Oh, what a big rebound for James Penny.
Penny getting that rebound over Rosegreen, who is a very good rebounder himself. Got the rebound, avoided the contact that might have resulted in a foul, and was able to score the basket.
Under 5 minutes to go now. Rosegreen putting it on the floor. Wow, what a little jump hook from about 10 feet. 14 for Warren, 8 of those in the second half.
UNLV content to go to Rosegreen and to Lane because they're both being guarded by Penny and Walker, who have 4 fouls.
Jones on the drive. Down deep. Penny the fall away. Got another chance and a foul. Mike Jones and Penny working as hard as they can down there.
Again, Mike Jones showing as Lane leaves. Now you watch Penny on this play. He avoids the over the back, keeps the ball alive. He's able to beat Rose Green to the shooting position and score the basket.
So Mike Jones, scoreless for a while, suddenly comes alive with 4 points. TCU by 1. A back-and-forth affair in more ways than one. And down it goes to Keon Clark, who just checked in at the whistle. He can't knock it down, and Penny rebounds. You know, Clark, playing with 3 fouls, came dangerously close to number 4 there.
Just slapping in out of frustration, and he's still being guarded by Walker. And the strategy here is, with Walker playing against Keon, he's playing behind him because the coaching staff feels that when UNLV gets the ball inside to Keon Clark, he's more of a finesse player in the post. Unless he's dunking, he's going to turn and shoot jump shots.
We got a foul on UNLV. And that will be number 4 on Keon Clark. It comes with 4:03 remaining.
You see Clark out on the floor. Gets his knees bent. He gets in a stance. And Walker attacks him off the dribble because he is at least at 18 feet. He's got the advantage over Keon. He puts the ball on the floor, and the officials assess that foul to Keon for the one-arm bridge to slow him up.
We had him for 4. They say officially it's only 3. We'll check it out. 15 now for Damian Walker. Damian with 12 of his 16 in the second half, and Bill Bano wants a 20-second timeout. It comes with 4:03 remaining, and Super Tuesday's coming your way tomorrow on ESPN. We start in the Big Ten, Iowa and Purdue. Brad Miller and Chad Austin for that Boilermaker offense, and the 10-3 Hawkeyes led by their senior point guard Andre Woolridge at 19 a game. Mississippi State with a tall task at number 3 Kentucky. Horatio Webster better come up big for the Dogs against Derek Anderson and company. Kentucky number 3 again this week behind Kansas and Wake Forest. Well, UNLV's got some fans here in the Lone Star State.
You see what UNLV has done in the first half as compared to the second. They really come on strong. It appears that they solve a lot of the problems at halftime. Their players playing with a lot more confidence, putting up more numbers.
Kevin James has done a good job getting them into their quick offense tonight. And another 3 for Damian Smith. 15. That is 7 times his average on the year. So he has come up big with Jermaine Smith suspended for this game. The 3 ties things up. Damian Walker lost it. That unbelievable wingspan of Keon Clark. We're running down to the 3:20 mark. UNLV trying to go 2-0 in the league. This is the WAC opener for TCU.
Mike Jones now accounting for Damian Smith.
Little switch, Nesby. Boy, nothing but net for him. And that's 20 for Tyrone. And now Vegas by 3.
Nesby just picking, and then instead of rolling, just staying away from the defense, squaring up and taking a nice, easy shot.
Oh, what a shot at the other end off a great dribble fake by Malcolm Johnson. 25 for Malcolm, and we are dead even again.
And this is the time of game where Malcolm Johnson really shines. He loves to go one-on-one. He's a tough shot maker, and he likes to take the big shot.
Damian Smith again. He is on fire.
He's back.
Damian's made 4 3-pointers tonight.
Before he went down with that injury, he had 3 games on Big Monday where he averaged 25 points a game.
Johnson way short, and right there with the catch is Damian Walker. Every time I see one of those, I think of NC State winning the NCAA tournament.
The shot that was more like a pass.
Yep. 1-point game Down to 1:45 we go.
Keon Clark ready to offer the high screen to James.
They switch. Now Penny has to hurry up. James high off the glass. What a field goal for him. Kevin with 7 tonight. He also has 9 assists. And he was not the starter at point guard.
Yeah, he comes in averaging 2 points a game. So you talk about players stepping up and making up for Jermaine Smith's absence.
Clark another block. Damian Walker trying everything he can. 1:16 remaining. And the final television timeout. Nevada, Las Vegas by 3 over Texas Christian. And Keon Clark is a huge tree in there. 1:16 remaining. After the final television timeout, UNLV by 3 without one of its key players tonight.
Well, there you see sits Jermaine Sunshine Smith. Damian Smith stepping his game up to account for the absence of their second leading scorer. Damian Smith with 18 points, and the coaching staff couldn't be happier for this young man. They've been waiting for him. All the mechanics were there. His body's healed. It's just been from the shoulders up.
Yep. 6 of 12 with 4 3-pointers tonight. Each team with both of its full timeouts remaining. The inbounds to Damian Walker.
1-3 run zone.
Anthony Burks handling it. Senior point guard out there. Working with Mike Jones. Johnson for 3. Well off to the right. Oh, what a rebound by Walker. He was fouled from behind. It'll be Warren Rosegreen. His 4th.
Walker on the inside, and he'll carve out a space in just a long arm. Great anticipation. Doesn't waste any time. Gathers himself and goes right back at the defense.
Damian Walker, we told you earlier this year, he had 11 out of 11 in one game. 9 straight tonight. So that free throw percentage is going to climb up into the 90 range. As mentioned, Billy Tubbs' team, all 3 years here in Fort Worth, very good shooting free throws. Full timeout by Billy Tubbs and TCU. 92-91, Nevada, Las Vegas in the final minute.
ESPN's presentation of NCAA basketball is brought to you by the new Dodge. It's about change.
Well, the Horned Frogs have not lost at home this year. This is a big test for them. UNLV by 1, final minute. Billy Tubbs with a timeout remaining. Bill Bano with both of his. Can Penny and company get it done? They'll set up some pressure here with Tyrone Nesby, the inbound trigger for UNLV.
With extended defense, they're going to try and force UNLV to make some quick decisions.
Into the hands of Kevin James. To the corner for Smith.
A lot of time.
Anthony Burks on the defense. Almost into the backcourt it went. And then James calls a timeout. UNLV still has a 20 left to use, so they'll do it right here.
On that pass, James very alert in getting back and making sure that there was no over and back. And he's going to be closely guarded. You see the defensive pressure. You got to get your knees bent when you're that closely guarded. He loses the handle, and that ball's about 3 inches away from being returned to TCU.
SportsCenter's coming up next with Stuart Scott and Rich Eisen. There was a little shoving and pushing when the Bulls and the Jazz got together earlier tonight. Well, the Cardinals went for sale last year. Why not the Dodgers this year? Pretty amazing. And a new Hall of Famer as the writers knuckle under in baseball. That's all coming up on SportsCenter. What's going on in there, Larry?
Well, you're talking about the number of timeouts that you have left and when you might need to burn another one. You've got to assume if you're UNLV if you're TCU, that UNLV is going to come out. You want to deny that inbounds pass if you're TCU. I'm getting so caught up in this thing, I'm excited. So if you're UNLV, you've got to let your player know who's inbounding the ball, that if he doesn't get it in, that he's got a timeout left. You want to make sure that you get the ball in quickly and then set up. You've got 22 seconds left on the shot clock. With a 1-point lead, you want to wind it down and then run the play that the coaching staff is putting in right now.
By the way, this 20-second timeout became a full timeout for Billy Bano and UNLV. So he still has a 20 left and one full timeout. Billy Tubbs with one full timeout left. 55-42 game at the half. And we're going right down to the wire. Nesby, that ball was tipped by Johnson. Got it back from Penny. He really forced it underneath Walker. And it goes back to UNLV as Keon Clark comes up big again. And Billy Tubbs wants to use his final timeout.
And Tubbs is talking about the foul, and he wanted to get a foul on the shot, I think, initially by Malcolm Johnson. It was a lot of contact down low, but we talked about what happens out of a timeout.
Billy Tubbs using his final full timeout. 37.7 to go in a one-point game. (92-91) Nevada, Las Vegas. Billy Tubbs' team got a key turnover here, and then they lost it very quickly.
Well, Nesby just lobbing the ball up, and the defense of TCU gets under. And this is why Coach Tubbs is so upset, is the play right there. Malcolm Johnson with a lot of time sort of forced that shot, but there was a lot of contact down low. And then you see Keon with the block, and right there, it could have gone off Nesby, it could have gone off Walker, but the official said it went off Walker, UNLV's ball.
Nesby handles it, stops to the wing. James saves it. Clark comes down, and he's fouled by Malcolm Johnson. That's only 2 on Malcolm. Stops the clock. 25.5 remaining. TCU is in the penalty, but not the double penalty.
They'll shoot. And Keon, a 63% free thrower. You know, Bob, you made the comment when we watched him shoot free throws. Doesn't always use his legs, and Keon will at times shoot a line drive, so he's got to concentrate on these and soften it up.
Off the miss, rebound Rosegreen. He was fouled. And looks like another one on Malcolm Johnson. 2 quickies in his third. Now Warren Rosegreen to the line, and he's only a 52% shooter.
Rosegreen coming in to play the other end, playing defense.
A fall away from the free throw line. Some serious body English. And a 2-point lead.
Well, you get Keon Clark to miss the free throw, and it takes a long bounce, and you don't box out, and you don't retrieve it.
Who's going to get it? UNLV again. And a foul there by Anthony Burks. He fouls Kevin James. UNLV has a full timeout remaining, and Billy Bano will use it here. 19.8 seconds remaining. The running Rebels right now, they're the rebounding Rebels. UNLV gets 1 free throw from Warren Rosegreen. Rebounds a miss for the second consecutive time, and they go right back to the line. TCU has not ventured on the road just yet, but they will this Thursday. They've got a toughie coming up at the Pit out in Albuquerque against those Lobos of New Mexico in the Mountain Division. To the line will be Kevin James, who in the first 11 games of the year had only shot 17 free throws. So he's 10 of 19 overall on the year.
Well, if you're TCU, you couldn't have put a better trio of free throw shooters on the line at the clutch. James, 52%.
It stays a 1-possession game. Because they're in the double bonus, it's another free throw. But even if he makes it, it's a one-possession game because of the miss. The best they can do here is a three-point lead. 94-91. Final 18 seconds, and the Frogs need a three.
UNLV in man-to-man. Nesby's on Johnson.
Air ball from the left side, but it's picked up by Burks. Well short with it. And Johnson hacks Tyrone Nesby. That'll be Malcolm's fourth. With 3.4 seconds to go, it appears UNLV will get a dramatic come-from-behind win on the road.
Their sixth win in a row, and just very impressive how they were able to not fold under the pressure, especially the early onslaught, the fast start by TCU, but they just hung in there, and they hung in there. They got great play from the backcourt. Damian Smith showing up big, Kevin James doing a nice job, and they were able to hang in just long enough to regain their confidence and then get right back in the game by a big run in the second half.
Bill Bano uses his final 20. UNLV about to go 2-0 if they win this one. Some of the early results: Fresno State won a game tonight at Rice. San Jose stayed off to a slow start, but in the Pacific, top dogs expected to be Fresno. Wyoming, who you saw knock off BYU over the weekend, and this club from Nevada, Las Vegas. And then there's the Mountain Division, where Utah, New Mexico, and Tulsa are expected to battle it out at the top.
You know, a lot of people feel that Utah's division is the toughest, but after watching this game tonight, this could perhaps be the most exciting.
Well, if Nesby makes one here, this thing is over. For TCU, he's got a miss. They need a quick three. And it's not over yet.
3.4 seconds left to go on a miss. If UNLV will just run at the rebounder, there's no chance to get it off.
Well, that'll do it. 21 for Nesby and a 4-point lead. And Billy Tubbs calls his final 20. I hope Billy has a 4-point play in the scorebook there somewhere, because he's down 95-91. Sports Center coming up next. Stuart Scott and Rich Eisen coming your way next. I'll highlight the Jazz and the Bulls for you. The Dodgers, big sale announced today by the O'Malley family. And a new Hall of Famer heading for Cooperstown.
Bill Bano and his staff really prepared hard for this game. They were very concerned about the press of TCU, and rightly so.
Clark deflects the inbounds pass down to 2.7. You got a guy down there 6 foot trying to make a long pass over a guy 6'11". Ball intercepted. Rebels are going to win it. And for good measure,